Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie discovered his wife of 5 years had been having an affair with her high school ex. She left him for the other man, but their relationship quickly became abusive. Now back home, she hopes to reconcile, but he feels betrayed and is proceeding with divorce despite pressure from his family to forgive her. Now let's get into the story. I, 34 male, found out about a month and a half ago that my wife, 30 of 5 years, has been having an affair with a man she had dated back in high school. After I found out, she apparently decided our relationship wasn't worth trying to fix and moved in with him. We don't have any children, so I immediately began divorce proceedings. My wife's new relationship disintegrated quickly. My buddy is a cop, and within 2 weeks of her moving in with him, he was telling me they were getting calls nearly every night from the neighbors with reports of them screaming at each other, hitting each other, etc. It all came to a hand a week ago. They got into a huge argument, and he ended up beating her so badly that she had to go to the hospital. He was arrested, she got a restraining order, and their relationship is over. My wife came back to live at the house. She asked me to stay there as well because she didn't feel safe. I agreed, though I'm now staying in the spare bedroom. She seems to now think that because I'm helping her recover and we're both staying in the house, this is a chance for us to rekindle our relationship. She doesn't want to move forward with a divorce. I have no desire to rekindle our relationship. I want to help her recover and I want her to be safe, but the betrayal I feel is something I don't think I can ever forgive. My family thinks I'm being heartless. The first time she dated this man, he was also abusive. He's much older than her. My sister said that my wife cheated on me because this guy manipulated her when she was young and now she's brainwashed by him. I don't want to be an asshole. My wife was a victim, which is why I want to do whatever I can to get her back on her feet, but I still wanted to force her. She would tell me that she was taking her mother to the doctor when she was going to this random guy's house during a pandemic and cheating on me. I can't get that out of my head, but my family just keeps telling me that we have to get through this together. My mother keeps telling me that this was the worst part of our vows. This wasn't what I had in mind when I said them. Am I being heartless? OP, having self-respect and enough love for yourself to not accept being hurt and disrespected by someone who betrayed you is not you being heartless. I doubt she'd be back if her fling didn't go south. So why should you be someone's second choice? I'd highly recommend you sit down and talk with your soon-to-be ex-wife and let her know. Not only are you going to proceed with a divorce, but she needs to find somewhere else to live within the next couple of weeks. The sooner the better. The longer she stays, the more she's going to try to cement her way back into your life. And your family, well, they can take their opinions elsewhere. You just keep doing what feels best for you. Move straight on with a divorce. You owe her nothing at all. And you're foolish if you listen to anyone telling you otherwise. No support and no sympathy. Not saying rub it in her face, but you owe her literally nothing. Further, letting her back into the house was a mistake. Let's assume she was so easily manipulated into destroying your marriage and you. You don't have to go after her, but helping her in any way is a massive mistake. The lesson she will learn is that destroying people is fun, and they will still be there when things blow up in her face. Make sure she learns a different lesson. Good luck, OP. Now for today's final story. For 5 years, she called her love for me unnegotiable and unconditional. 5 years of building a family of 3 cats. 5 years of loving each other through everything life throws our way. She was the kindest human I have ever met. Redefined what a woman is for me. I worshipped her, but I had my own mental battles that prevented me from showing it all the time. We had our fights, we had our disagreements, but we made it work. I wasn't the best partner when it came to supporting her mentally. I wasn't the best partner when it came to picking up my share around the house, but I don't think these things warrant what she did. especially when she didn't vocalize how badly those shortcomings made her want to leave. When she announced her decision to leave me, nothing made sense or added up. It didn't seem like what I did/didn't do was enough of a reason to get left. Then 1 week after the breakup, she was out dating her coworker. Then she stopped coming home. Now I just don't see her anymore. I found out she was emotionally and potentially physically cheating with him for around 3 months prior to the breakup. She used her work phone to text him, so I could never see her text him. She developed feelings for him and did the decent thing and broke us off. The decent thing would have been to tell your partner about this coworker's romantic interest in you and how you felt the same way about him. In 2 weeks, she was gone from my life, leaving me with our big cold apartment and our 3 cats. Today's second story. In this story, after 11 years of marriage, OP discovered his wife's 8-month affair. On D-Day, he confronted her with evidence and initiated divorce proceedings. Despite her remorse and efforts to reconcile, he struggled with feelings of betrayal and anger. Their journey through marriage counseling faced setbacks, leading to a temporary separation as both grappled with their emotions and the impact on their children. Now let's get into the story. Long story short, I've been married to my wife for 11 years. We have 2 kids aged 11 and 9. She cheated for 8 months, and I knew about it for the last 3. I didn't confront her until I had evidence lined up, including a video and a separation agreement in hand from a solid lawyer. This was about 9 months ago. I guess it would be called D-Day care. I waited for her to get home from her affair partner, AP. She had no idea that I knew anything. The second she saw me sitting at the table, she got very nervous. I asked her to sit down because we needed to talk. I was totally crying out at this point and didn't really care. I had decided that divorce was the only option the day I first found out. My wife sits down looking very panicked. She said, "You're scaring me. What is this about?" I then said, "I'm not here to discuss your infidelity. I know everything. I'm here to sort out our separation and divorce." I put my wedding ring on top of the folder with the separation agreement inside and pushed it in front of her. My wife starts bawling, begging, apologizing, pleading, all the usual stuff. We get nowhere. I just toss whatever she comes up with back in her face and say, "I love you." I then told her, "You hurt me the worst I have ever been hurt and sleep with other men because you love me so much." After a couple of hours, I told her to go to a hotel and that we will continue tomorrow. I tell her if she doesn't sign the separation agreement, I will tell everyone today what she has been doing. I know it's signed under duress, but at the time I just wanted it to end. She ends up signing. She leaves and I receive messages and calls all night. I answer occasionally in one-word responses, mainly. "I will not read this message or talk to you until tomorrow afternoon." The next day, the severity of the situation sunk in with her. She begs for another chance, marriage counseling, MC, etc., saying she will do many things. I informed her that I would file on Monday and that she had 90 days to convince me that divorce is a mistake. I don't know why I offered that. I was weak. I had decided to end it, and I just folded. The next day, I had prepared a list of things she had to do. I didn't show it to her. I just told her the list existed, and unless she abided by it, we would be no contact and apart from the kids, and the divorce would be unstoppable. I would inform everyone of what she had been doing. I also informed her that even perfect compliance was no guarantee that we would not divorce. My trust in her at this point was below 0, and I didn't even love her anymore. She killed what we had, and the only reason I considered reconciling and building something new was for our kids. I didn't mean to say this. Again, I couldn't follow through on what I had decided to do. The list consisted of the following. No lies. She had to make a document of everything she had done with him, describe how it started, what in her mind gave her the right to do this to me and our children. If she cut corners, rose-tinted anything, or omitted anything, all efforts on my part would be over. Full access to all social media, phones, computer, her salary, and bank statements. She would report where she is and what she does at all times. Individual counseling I see for her 2 to 3 times a week until she could understand her own choices. Only later, MC. She agreed, made the list, and gave me access. Then I told her about points 5, 6, 7 in sequence, only after she carried out each task. She had to meet AP's wife face to face and tell her everything, hand over all the evidence she had, and offer to be a witness in court if needed. She refused at first. She managed to say she couldn't do that to him. I pointed out that she made a choice. AP's feelings over her own family. If she didn't do this, the reconciliation attempt was over. I was going to tell AP's wife if she didn't. If she wouldn't know this, there was no willingness from my end. If I had to tell her, there would be no chance of ever reconciling. In the end, she agreed and actually told AP's wife everything. AP's wife slapped her, kicked her, pulled her hair, and screamed at her. My wife took it and didn't fight back. I didn't protect her. She got some gashes and some bald spots. In the car afterward, I informed her that AP had been seeing another woman in addition to my wife and showed her the evidence from the PI hired. I am ashamed of how much I enjoyed watching her pain when she realized she was just another piece of meat to this guy. She had to explain herself to the kids and what the likely outcome for her was. For our family would be. Explain what she had done to everyone in our family and our friends. I would have an affair for 3 months. I would lie to her face, sneak around behind her back, form a deep emotional relationship with another woman. I needed her to understand what she asked me to forgive, the humiliation, the pain. She would understand that we risked me falling in love and leaving her for my AP. At the end of the 3 months, I would tell her everything truthfully. Number 7 was especially hard on both of us. I would sneak around and act like I was cheating. I had Tinder installed. I would make sure she got glimpses of it every now and again. I would pretend I was secretly texting. I would go out and be gone all night. I would go away for weekends. In reality, I wasn't seeing anyone. I just stayed in hotels, rented cabins, and Ames. I would just get drunk most of the time and cry. My wife was freaking out more and more. I felt terrible as well. I hated it. I could barely do it, and I was only pretending. She did it with such ease. I think this is the hardest part for me. I can't see her in the same light. I wanted to show her what she asked me to forgive, but instead I learned what a horrible person you have to be to do this to someone else. We are now an MC, and she is making progress, me not so much. Some days are worse than others, I guess. For now, I keep the divorce papers ready. For some reason, I have not pulled the trigger. I'm not entirely sure why. We haven't been intimate or very close, but we are not fighting anymore, so I guess that is progress. She is very apologetic. I know we have a long way to go. Who knows where we will end up? I can't get past how terrible I felt when I pretended, yet she did it with ease. I just can't see her in a positive light. I see her as a monster. I wish I had ended it the first day, but now that I have dragged us both so far along, is there any way for me to move past seeing her like this? I have forgiven the rest. I just can't get past this. Update: my wife and I have been up all night after I showed her the post yesterday. Here is an update along with some comments and reflections. We know our chances of success are very low and that it will probably take many years before we are past the worst of it, but we both agreed this morning that we are committed to trotting. She was absolutely devastated by some of the things I said and many of the comments. Still, in the end, we managed to have a real conversation, even though we didn't always succeed with that. To everyone who spoke to me in absolutes, it's a totally different thing to be in the middle of something like this compared to looking at it from the outside. Nothing is clear or easy. Emotions are overwhelming, and even decide to get up in the morning to face it. A new day is almost impossible. If I were to try to explain how hard it is to think clearly and make good choices, I would give you this analogy. Imagine you are living your life. You are on top of the mountain. You can see the horizon in all directions, and you have no doubts. Your mind and thoughts are clear. You know who you are, what you want, and where you want to go. Then imagine being yanked from the top of the mountain, stuffed in a dark sealed coffin, and spun around so fast that all your blood rushes down to your legs. You are almost passing out. You can barely think. You are getting nauseous and dizzy, and you want to throw up more than anything. This is the closest I can get to explaining the trauma my brain experienced. Of course, I will make some bad choices in such a state. I think everyone would make bad choices in this state. To those who were telling us we were hurting our children, we don't think so. We talk to our kids, and they are very grateful that we have told them and kept them involved in our efforts. As my youngest put it, it's my family too. They have more faith in us than we have, and they are grateful that we ask for their advice and opinions. We have been very careful to let them know we will not accept them choosing sides. We have also been very clear that none of this is their responsibility or fault. They have told us they like being involved and helping us together and as individuals. They will dish out encouraging words and extra hugs when they feel we need it. They accept that this might not be possible to fix, but they have told us that they will be disappointed if we give up without trying properly. The first few months were very stressful, but after things calmed down, they are very grateful for being allowed to be involved. Some of their friends are in situations where their families are breaking up and their friends feel like they are mushrooms kept in the dark and fed crap. So our kids are better off than us, it seems, and I just hope we don't disappoint them too much. To those who thought I was psychotic and wondered how I could be so hard and torture my wife while offering reconciliation, to be clear on D-Day, I had no intention of offering anything. I was determined to just end it as soon as possible. I was still determined to do so when she came back the next day when she offered to do anything and begged me to give her a chance. At that point, I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave her. I felt weak, I was ashamed of myself, I was angry, and I wanted her to suffer, but deep down, I still loved her. I just couldn't admit it or end it. I took some thinking time, made the list, and made my demands. I never in my wildest dreams expected her to agree to the toughest terms. I did not expect her to tell the AP's wife. I did not expect her to tell her kids, families, and friends, and I definitely didn't expect her to stand up by me in my pretend revenge affair. Truth be told, I wanted her to give up, but I also wanted her to suffer. I was convinced that her suffering would make me feel better. It didn't. As she did everything I asked, I could no longer deny that she was being sincere, that she wanted to work things out, that she was regretful for what she had done. She has been putting everything she can into reconciling. I must sadly admit I have not. I have been searching for some reason to give up and leave, or to make her give up and leave. I have been incredibly cruel at times. I have vented my fury at her, and I am a terrifying guy. She has just taken it. She doesn't try to excuse herself, she just takes it. She told me she has never been afraid of me. I am not sure I believe that. She tells me she knows I would never physically attack or hurt her. I am not so sure of myself. I have been pretty close a few times. I hope I never ever pass that line. I am terrified I might permanently injure or kill someone. To those who asked about her reasons for doing it, we have sort of concluded that she felt stagnant and trapped. Our life was too safe and comfortable. It hit her hard after her best friend died, and she was vulnerable to a snake charmer who knew exactly what type of bull smoke to blow up her arse. She feels con now and struggles badly with reconciling her choices with the person she believed herself to be. We have learned that this was a pattern with her AP. He had been cheating on his wife with 2 to 3 women at the time since before they started dating. We even found out he has 2 illegitimate sons. As for me, I had not really committed to reconciliation. I am a very hard person. I can take and dole it out. I managed to convince myself that if my wife suffered, I would be okay with just walking away if I found a good enough reason to give up. I was wrong. I have been searching for reasons to not get close to her again. I was, and I still am, deeply wounded. I was scared of letting her get close and gagged her again. This has prevented us from making any real progress in reconciling. She has been the only one totally committed. Several people asked me if I am just as good at giving out love as I am at punishment, and the answer to that is no, but I am working on it now. I have forgiven her, but I have kept her distant while trying to find a reason strong enough to overcome my love for her so I could leave. I will change that and make a real, genuine effort to reconcile. If we fail, we fail, but I will give it my very best try from here on in. Even if I risk getting hurt again. A lot of people condemned my wife. Some people pointed out that she is just human and made some bad choices. As things are now, I am in charge of the consequences for her bad choices. It's not a role I want. I have thought about this a lot. I also make mistakes. I act irrationally, and I am very cruel to her at times. Me punishing her has driven me literally mad with hatred and anger. Sometimes I have no control over it. She made some bad choices and lost control, as I am still doing. We are just human, both of us. I need to work on ways to move past this together. I will get off my high horse and try to be 50% of this for my wife. The day after D-Day, she had accepted that I was dead serious. There was nowhere to hide, no forgiveness, nothing. She knew that her chances to save her family were slim at best, but she would do anything to try. It's clear now that she never actually loved the AP. She loved the thrill, the fantasy. She told me she is grateful for my ironclad, rock-hard approach. It ripped her out of the affair fog, smacked some sense into her, and got her focused front and center on what was important. She also felt that her punishment was justified, and it helped her not hate herself as much. She has thanked me so much for not letting her off the hook and pushing through. She is punishing herself harder than I ever did. She has contemplated ending herself even, but she didn't do it at the time because she felt she would get off too easily. I found out that she has been harming herself since D-Day. She has beaten herself, pinched herself with pliers. I mean, the entire backside of her leg is shades of purple. It's one continuous black mark. This is, of course, not helpful. We have agreed to focus on her forgiving herself. We cannot heal unless that happens. In a way, it's strange. Now that she just wants to punish herself, she has lost all the traits that I fell in love with in the first place. Her humor, smile, well-thought-out opinions, self-esteem, her loving patience, etc. I don't think it's helpful for me to redevelop any feelings towards her when her punishing herself suppresses the very things I love about her. The reasons I got together with her and married her in the first place. So all in all, we have made some progress thanks to all the helpful strangers on the internet. We have a long way to go, but we have identified some big hurdles to get past. We actually slept in the same bed for the first time since D-Day, so there is that. It was nice to sleep next to her again. I still love her, and I kind of hate myself for it, but then I think about my kids and it gives me strength to keep at it. We will try to create something new, since the old relationship is gone at this point. Update after D-Day. I put my wife through hell and became her personal mental torturer for 9 months until I snapped out of it not too long ago. I was looking for any excuse during all those months to not fully commit to reconciliation. My wife was the only one who put in 100% after the day. I still loved her and couldn't leave, but my perceived self-respect and my idea of who I was prevented me from accepting that. I tried so many ways to convince myself that the only right thing to do was to leave her, but I just couldn't. My cruelty, on top of her infidelity, caused great damage to both of us emotionally. I finally came to my senses and understood what I needed to do to start healing both of us. I realized where I was weak and needed to improve. I know our chances are low, but now I am afraid I have caused too much damage to get past. My wife feels that she doesn't deserve love and consideration whenever I do something for her, like leaving her flowers from the garden or love notes to show my appreciation. She usually ends up crowning. The last few weeks we have made a lot of progress, and things on the surface seem to be improving. But today, I found my wife hiding and crying alone. She was appreciative and smiley in the morning. I made her breakfast in bed, but I found her crying after that. It just took all my motivation away, like popping a balloon. I feel totally empty, like all our efforts are for nothing. I don't feel anything other than exhausted and empty. Totally empty. Now I am in bed and I don't even know how to get back up. I don't know how to find any energy to get moving to try again. I can't even interact with my children properly. I just feel empty. Final update. So, we are separated. We were doing well on reconciliation. My wife did pretty much everything right for her end. She struggles with forgiving herself. Basically, she hates her own guts. On the other hand, I managed to suppress my feelings for a while. And this is the problem. Right under the surface, my feelings were still boiling. Emasculation, betrayal, lies, humiliation, anger, all boiling right under the surface. As a result, I reverted back to being mean, vindictive, and angry. And I don't want to be that guy anymore. So, we have separated to get some space. We will try to get back to trying reconciliation later for the sake of the kids. So, that's the status. Sometimes it's not possible to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I am not hopeful that we will make it in the end.